Morgan and Alex have been married for a few years. Their story began unexpectedly one night at a neighborhood bar. Morgan was out celebrating a friend's birthday, laughing and chatting with her lively group of girlfriends. Alex happened to be there as well, hanging out with his own circle of friends. Eventually, the two groups crossed paths, and casual conversation started flowing between them. While nothing really sparked between their friends, something clicked between Morgan and Alex. What started as a random night out turned into a budding romance. After dating for about a year, they decided to take the plunge and get married. Kids weren't part of the immediate plan. They wanted to settle into married life first, maybe do some traveling. But globe-trotting was a challenge, especially since they were still paying off a hefty loan from the lavish wedding Morgan had always envisioned. One day, they received a joyful invitation. Kayla, one of Morgan's old high school friends, was getting married. The wedding was scheduled for early August, giving them plenty of time to plan. At first, Alex fully intended to go with Morgan. It was rare they got the chance to attend social events together, since life kept pulling them in different directions. But as luck would have it, just days before the wedding, Alex was sent on an unexpected business trip that happened to fall on the exact same weekend as Kayla's big day. There was no way to reschedule, so the couple reluctantly agreed Morgan would go alone. Missing her close friend's wedding wasn't an option for her. Before leaving, Alex asked her to give his best to the bride and groom, and they promised to check in with each other every evening. However, on the day of the wedding, Morgan didn't answer her phone. She later explained that the celebration had gone on much later than expected, and she hadn't made it home until the early morning hours. After Alex returned from his trip, he noticed something felt different. Morgan seemed more distant. She was suddenly spending more time out with friends and often stayed late at work. Then, about a month after the wedding, Morgan woke up feeling under the weather. She told Alex she was going to take a sick day and called her office to report in. Alex wished her well before heading to work, telling her to reach out if she needed anything. Around midday, he found himself with a free hour during lunch and decided to surprise Morgan with some fresh fruit. But when he got home, the place was empty. Confused, he paused in the entryway. Wait, she said she wasn't feeling well, he thought. Did she start feeling better and head out? Or did something happen? A flicker of worry crossed his mind. What if she'd gotten worse and had to rush to the hospital? Quickly, he called her. She answered after a few rings, sounding unusually upbeat for someone who'd been sick just a few hours earlier. She said she was out picking up some groceries. Try and make the most of the surprise. Alex offered to wait for her, so they could have lunch together. But Morgan told him not to bother. She was shopping at a store much farther from their neighborhood. That struck Alex as odd. Why would she go all the way across town when there was a perfectly good market just around the block? And if she was feeling bad enough to skip work, wouldn't it have made more sense to use a delivery app? That evening, when Alex returned home, he found Morgan in the kitchen preparing dinner. She greeted him with a smile, acting completely normal. He walked up behind her and wrapped his arms around her waist, pulling her close. As he leaned in, he caught the distinct scent of perfume in her hair. "Did you go anywhere else today besides the store?" he asked gently. Morgan's voice was casual. "Nope," she replied. "I just started feeling a bit better, so I figured I'd run out and grab some groceries. Then I came home and went straight back to bed," Morgan added casually. At that moment, something in Alex's gut tightened. Something didn't add up. Since when did someone who claimed to feel sick take the time to spritz on perfume just to pick up a few groceries? Sure, some people like to look their best even for the smallest errands, but that had never been Morgan's style. If anything, she was the queen of comfy clothes and minimal effort when it came to quick runs to the store. Perfume, in her case, was strictly for date nights or formal events. Still, despite the growing suspicion, Alex said nothing. While he questioned the story in his mind, there was one truth hidden in her words. Morgan had gone back to bed that day. Just not in their bed. Of course, Alex didn't know that. Not yet. A few weeks later, Morgan came home in a foul mood. The moment she stepped inside, she exploded into a rant about a huge argument she'd had with Kayla. Her face was tight with anger, and her voice was sharp as she paced around the living room. Alex, drained from a long workday of his own. Only half listened at first, but from what he gathered, it had been a serious fallout, the first real blow-up in over a decade of friendship. Morgan was livid, claiming Kayla had crossed a line that couldn't be uncrossed. After dinner, she started to cool off, and the rest of the evening passed without much incident. Then, a few days later, something completely unexpected happened. Alex got a phone call from Kayla. Hearing her voice caught him off guard. At first, he assumed she dialed the wrong number, that she must have meant to call Morgan. "No," Kayla said, her voice dropping low, almost a whisper. "I meant to call you." Alex's brow furrowed. "What's going on?" What came next was something he never would have heard if those two women hadn't gone from lifelong friends to sudden enemies. "Alex," Kayla began, her tone shaky, either from anger or adrenaline, he couldn't tell. "You remember how you couldn't make it to my wedding, right?" "Yeah." "Well," she snapped, "let's just say your wife didn't seem to mind your absence that night." Her voice turned sharp, laced with bitterness. She continued, saying Morgan had reconnected at the wedding with her high school ex-boyfriend, James. The same James she dated back in senior year. Kayla claimed Morgan had never truly gotten over him. He'd moved away to another city years ago, which just so happened to be around the time she met Alex. Apparently, James had recently returned, and the two had found each other again at the reception. According to Kayla, someone had even spotted them sneaking off together. Not just anywhere, but into one of the venue's bathrooms. "They weren't in there washing hands," Kayla said sharply. "So, don't be surprised if she's still meeting up with him behind your back." Alex's heart pounded. It was possible Kayla was just bitter and making up a story. But what if she wasn't? Trying to stay grounded, he challenged her. "You got any proof? Maybe a photo or something?" There was a pause on the line. Then Kayla said, "I'll find them. I'll send them to you." The line went dead, and Alex just stared at his screen, his mind racing. Was it true? Or was this just Kayla's way of getting revenge? About 30 minutes later, the evidence arrived. First came a photo, Morgan, in the corner of the banquet hall, embracing a man in a way no married woman should. It wasn't just a friendly hug. It looked intimate, too intimate. Then came a short video clip. Morgan stepping back into the reception from a side hallway, smoothing down her wrinkled dress and adjusting her hair. Her expression was composed, but something about the whole scene screamed secrecy. That same night, Alex made a decision. He packed up Morgan's belongings and left them neatly outside their front door. When she got home and saw what he'd done, Morgan acted confused, pretended she didn't understand why he was so upset. But the moment he mentioned Kayla, her expression shifted. Gone was the innocence. In its place came fury. "She's just trying to ruin everything." Morgan snapped. "She's lying. This is a setup." But Alex wasn't buying it. He'd seen enough. He told her to leave. And not long after that, he filed for divorce. In the end, it was a falling out between two women, possibly over something petty, that had cracked everything wide open. One friend's vengeance ended up revealing the other's deepest betrayal. And strangely, as painful as it all was, there was a strange irony to it. If Kayla and Morgan hadn't had that fight, Alex might have never found out the truth. There's something to be said about that old phrase, everything happens for a reason. For Alex, the betrayal stung deeply, but it also gave him clarity. He realized he'd been with someone who wasn't truly committed, someone who could be so easily pulled back into the past. From that moment on, he made himself a quiet promise. No more love stories that started in bars. He'd had his heart broken once, and that was enough.